In this life, we all face moments that test our courage, our strength, and our resolve. Moments that ask us, will we stand firm or will we back down? These moments are inevitable. They are a part of being human. Each of us has faced them, and we will face them again. We may not always be able to control the circumstances that come our way, but we do have control over one crucial thing: how we respond. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Every one of us has faced a crossroads, a point in time when we have to decide which path to take. Some paths are easier. They offer less resistance, fewer obstacles, and less fear. But often, the path that is harder, the one that is filled with uncertainty and challenge, is the path that leads us to our true potential. That path requires something from us. It requires courage. It requires the willingness to stand firm. Even when everything inside us is telling us to back. Think back to a time when you were at such a crossroads. Maybe it was a decision about your career, a relationship, or even standing up for what you believe in. I remember a story about a young woman who found herself at such a crossroads. She had been working in a job for years, a job that paid well and offered security, but it wasn't fulfilling. Deep down, she knew she wanted to do something more, something that truly mattered to her. She wanted to start her own business, but the fear of failure, the fear of stepping into the unknown, held her back. She was standing at the edge, looking down at all the risks, all the what-ifs. One day, she decided to talk to her grandmother, who had been a source of wisdom for her throughout her life. Her grandmother listened patiently as she spoke about her fears and doubts. And then, with a gentle smile, her grandmother said, "You know, dear, I have lived a long life, and I've learned that the things we regret most are not the things we did, but the things we didn't do because we were too afraid. If you believe in what you want, then don't back down. Don't let fear decide your future." Her grandmother's words struck a chord. The young woman realized that her fear wasn't a sign that she shouldn't move forward. It was a sign that she needed to. She understood that fear was a natural part of taking risks, but that it didn't have to control her. So she made a decision. She chose to take the harder path, the one filled with uncertainty, but also with the potential for fulfillment and growth. She left her job, started her business, and today she is happier and more fulfilled than she ever could have. So what is it that makes some people stand tall in the face of adversity while others shrink away? Is it luck, fate, or something deeper? I believe it is something deeper. It's a choice to believe in oneself, to trust in the power of the human spirit. When we make the choice to not back down, we are making a choice to trust that we have the strength within us to overcome whatever obstacles come our way. But this choice isn't always easy. It requires us to confront our fears, to face the things that make us uncomfortable. It requires us to push beyond our limits, to go to places within ourselves that we may not have visited before. But it is in these moments when we are tested that we discover who we truly are. We discover the power of our resolve, the strength of our character. I want you to think about this. What would your life look like if you chose to never back down? What could you achieve if you didn't let fear stop you? What kind of person would you become if you made a commitment to stand firm no matter what challenges you face? These are not easy questions, but they are important ones. They are questions that require us to look deep within ourselves, to examine what we truly want out of life. And once we have those answers, we must be willing to take action, to make the choice to move forward with courage and determination. You see, the power to never back down doesn't come from outside of us. It's not something we can buy or borrow. It's something that comes from within. It comes from believing in ourselves, from having faith in our abilities, and from trusting that we have what it takes to overcome any challenge. And this is where the true power of the human spirit lies. It lies in our ability to choose, to decide that no matter what happens, we will not be defeated, we will not give up, we will not back down. As we move forward in this discussion, let's keep this in mind. Let's remember that we all have the power to choose our path, to decide whether we will stand firm or back down. And as we explore this idea further, let's look at what it really takes to make that choice. Let's look at the courage, the resilience, and the unwavering determination that is required to live a life where we never back down. We've all been there, haven't we? Standing on the edge of a decision or a dream, paralyzed by the fear of what might happen if we don't succeed. The fear of failure can be so powerful that it stops us in our tracks, whispers to us, what if you're not good enough? What if you try and fall flat on your face? What will people think? This fear is real, and it's something we all experience. Is that knot in your stomach before a big presentation? The hesitation before taking a leap into the unknown? The doubt that creeps in when you think about pursuing something you truly... It can feel overwhelming, like a wall that's too high to climb, too sick to break through. But I want you to know that this fear is not a sign that you should stop. It's not a signal that you should back down. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Let's take a moment to explore where this fear comes from. Why do we fear failure so much? Is it because we're afraid of the actual act of failing, or is it something deeper? You see, this fear often stems from societal expectations. We grow up being taught that failure is something to avoid at all costs, that it's something to be ashamed of. We see success stories everywhere, in the media, on social networks, and we start to believe that failure is a sign of weakness, a mark of incompetence. But that's not the whole story, is it? Sometimes it's not just society that makes us fear failure. It's our own mind that plays the cruelest tricks on us. It's our inner critic that tells us we're not good enough, that we don't have what it takes, that we're destined to fail. These thoughts can come from past experiences, times when we tried something and it didn't work out the way we hoped. They can come from a place of deep-seated insecurity or from comparisons we make with others. Now, I want you to think about your own life for a moment. Think about a time when you were afraid to act, afraid to speak up, afraid to move forward. What held you back? Was it the fear of not succeeding, of not being perfect, of making a mistake, or was it something else? We often find that when we dig a little deeper, it's not the failure itself that we fear. It's what we think that failure says about us. We're afraid that if we fail, it will mean we're not capable, that we're not worthy, that we're not enough. But what if I told you that failure doesn't define you? What if I told you that failure is not the opposite of success, but a stepping stone to it? Think about it this way. Every successful person you've ever admired has failed. Every single one of them. They didn't get to where they are by avoiding failure. They got there by embracing it, by learning from it, by using it as a tool to grow and improve. They understood that failure is not something to be feared, but something to be welcomed. It's an opportunity to learn, to adjust, to get better. When a baby is learning to walk, they don't just stand up one day and start walking perfectly. No, they stumble, they fall, they get up, and they try again. And every time they fall, they learn a little more about balance, about coordination, about how to move forward. They don't see falling as a failure. They see it as part of the process of learning to walk. So why do we as adults forget this? Why do we start to believe that falling down is a sign that we shouldn't be walking at all? Why do we let the fear of failure stop us from taking the steps we need to take to move forward in our lives? I want you to reframe how you think about failure. Instead of seeing it as a sign that you're not good enough, see it as proof that you're trying, that you're putting yourself out there, that you're pushing your limits, because that's what life is about, isn't it? It's about growth, about evolution, about becoming more of who we are meant to be. Now, I know this isn't easy. It's hard to change the way we think about failure. It's hard to step out of our comfort zones and take risks, especially when we've been conditioned to fear failure. But if we want to live fully, if we want to achieve our dreams, we have to be willing to take that leap. We have to be willing to fail, to fall, to make mistakes. And we have to trust that in doing so, we are moving closer to where we're meant to be. So the next time you find yourself hesitating, the next time you find yourself backing down because you're afraid of what might happen if you don't succeed, I want you to ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? What's the worst that could happen if I fail? And then I want you to ask yourself, what's the best that could happen if I try? Because often when we take that step, when we push through that fear, we find that the things we were so afraid of aren't as scary as we thought. We find that we are stronger, more capable, and more resilient than we ever imagined. And we find that failure, rather than being something to fear, is actually a doorway to success, a path to discovering our true potential. I want you to remember that overcoming fear isn't about eliminating it. It's about understanding it, about recognizing where it comes from and choosing to move forward anyway. It's about preparing ourselves mentally for what comes next, about building the strength and resilience we need to face whatever challenges lie ahead. And most importantly, it's about believing in ourselves, trusting that no matter what happens, we have the power to overcome, to learn, and to grow. So let's take that next step together, with courage, with determination, and with the unwavering belief that we can and we will rise above any fear that comes our way. Let's talk about resilience. Resilience is one of the most important qualities we can develop if we want to live a life where we never back down. But what exactly is resilience? Resilience is not about never falling. It's about rising every time you fall. It's about getting back up no matter how many times life knocks you down. It's about facing challenges head-on and not letting them break you, but instead using them to make you stronger. Resilience is crucial because life is full of ups and downs. We all experience setbacks, disappointments, and hardships. That's a part of the human experience, but it's how we respond to these challenges that truly defines us. When we cultivate resilience, we give ourselves the power to keep moving forward, even when the road is tough. I want to share with you some stories of incredible resilience. Let's take a moment to think about Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors in history. Edison failed thousands of times before he finally succeeded in inventing the light. Thousands of times. But he didn't let those failures define him. He didn't let them stop him. Instead, he saw each failure as a lesson, as a step closer to success. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways it won't work." Now, that's resilience. That's the kind of mindset that says, I will not back down, no matter how many times I fall. Or think about Helen Keller. She lost her sight and hearing at a very young age. Yet she didn't let those immense challenges prevent her from achieving incredible things. She learned to communicate, to read, and she went on to become an author, a political activist, and an inspirational speaker. Helen Keller once said, "Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it." Her life is a testament to resilience, to the power of the human spirit, to overcome adversity and to rise above even the most daunting obstacles. And it's not just historical figures who have shown resilience. Think about people in your own life, maybe a friend, a family member, or even yourself. Can you remember a time when you were knocked down but found a way to get back up? Maybe it was after losing a job, going through a difficult breakup, or facing a serious illness. What did that experience teach you about yourself? What did it show you about your own strength and capacity to overcome? I remember a story about a man who lost everything in a business failure. He had put his heart and soul into building his company, but things didn't go as planned. The business collapsed, and he was left with nothing but a pile of debt and a bruise. For a while, he felt like giving up. He felt like the universe was against him. But then he remembered something his father used to tell him. It's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you get back up. And he decided to get back up. He took a job to pay off his debts. He learned from his mistakes and he started again. This time with more experience and more wisdom. And guess what? His next venture was a success. That's what resilience looks like. It's about choosing to rise, to try again, even when it feels like everything is stacked against you. It's about believing that you have the strength to overcome any challenge, no matter how tough it may seem. But what is it that allows some people to bounce back while others stay down? What gives someone that inner strength to keep going? The answer lies in our mindset. A resilient mind doesn't say, "I can't." It asks, "How can I?" It doesn't see setbacks as the end. It sees them as opportunities to learn and grow. Let's think about the power of our thoughts for a moment. What we believe about ourselves and our abilities can either limit us or empower us. If we believe that we are not capable, that we are not strong enough, then we are likely to give up when things get tough. But if we believe that we are capable, that we are strong, that we can find a way through any difficulty, then we will keep going no matter what. You have to ask yourself, what kind of mindset do I have? Do I see myself as a victim of my circumstances, or do I see myself as someone who can overcome any obstacle? Do I focus on what I can't do, or do I focus on what I can do, on finding solutions, on making things happen? The truth is, we all have the capacity for resilience within us. It's not something that only a few special people are born with. It's something we can all develop through practice, through perseverance, and through choosing to see challenges as opportunities rather than as roadblocks. So how do we build this resilience? How do we develop the strength to keep getting back up every time we fall? You know, it starts with small steps. It starts with choosing every day to not give up, to keep moving forward, even when things are hard. It starts with surrounding ourselves with people who lift us up, who support us, who remind us of our strength when we forget. It starts with taking care of ourselves, both physically and mentally, so that we have the energy and the resilience to face whatever comes our way. But most importantly, it starts with our mindset. It starts with the belief that we are strong, that we are capable, that we can handle whatever life throws at us. It starts with choosing to see ourselves as resilient, as people who don't back down, who don't give up, who rise every time we fall. I want to leave you with this thought. Resilience is not something you have or don't have. It's something you build. It's something you build. It's something you cultivate. It's something you choose every single day. And the more you choose it, the stronger you become. So as we continue this discussion, let's remember that building resilience is a continuous process. It's not a one-time thing. It's something we work on every day, with every choice we make, with every thought we think. And it's closely related to finding our inner purpose, to understanding why we're here and what we're meant to do. Because when we have a strong purpose, when we know what we're fighting for, it's easier to find the strengths to keep going, to keep rising, no matter how many times we fall. Let's talk about something that lies at the very core of our being. Our purpose, our why. You see, when you know your why, the how becomes much easier. Life suddenly has direction, a focus, and a reason that propels you forward even when things get... Your purpose is like a compass, guiding you through life's challenges and helping you stay on course. Think about it. When you wake up in the morning, what gets you out of bed? What is it that makes you push through the hard days, the long nights, the moments of doubt? What is it that drives you? That thing that no matter what stands in your way, you cannot imagine walking away. That's your why. It's that deep-rooted reason that gives your life meaning and fuels your determination. When you have a clear purpose, nothing seems impossible. Challenges become stepping stones rather than obstacles. You find that strength within you to keep going, to not back down, no matter how difficult the path may seem. Let me share with you a story of someone who had a strong why and didn't back down, even when faced with immense challenges. Think about Nelson Mandela. Here was a man who faced years of imprisonment, not for what he did, but for what he believed in. He was fighting for the freedom and equality of his people. For 27 long years, he was locked away, isolated from the world, but he never gave up on his purpose. He didn't back down even when it seemed like there was no hope. And because of his unwavering commitment to his why, he eventually saw his dreams of a free South Africa come to fruition. Now you might be thinking, well, that's Nelson Mandela. I'm just an ordinary person. But let me tell you, each of us has the power to find our own why and to live a life that reflects it. It doesn't have to be something grand or world-changing. It just has to be something that matters deeply to you, something that lights a fire in your heart and makes you feel alive. I want you to take a moment to reflect on your own life. What is it that drives you? What is it that, no matter the challenge, you cannot imagine walking away from? Maybe it's your family, your children, or your desire to make a difference in your community. Maybe it's a passion for your work or a creative endeavor that brings you joy. Or maybe it's something you haven't even discovered yet. Whatever it is, know that it's there, waiting for you to uncover it. If you're unsure of your why, start by asking yourself some simple questions. What makes you feel alive? What are the things that you do that make time disappear, that make you lose yourself in the moment? What would you do if you could not fail? These are clues that can lead you to your purpose, that can help you uncover what it is that truly drives you. Think about a young man I once knew. He worked a regular job day in and day out, but he felt like something was missing. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but he knew he wasn't living his life fully. One day, he decided to take a break and spend some time volunteering at a local shelter. It was something he had always thought about doing, but never found the time for. As soon as he started, he realized this was what he was meant to do. Helping others gave him a sense of fulfillment and purpose he had never felt before. That experience helped him find his why, and from that moment on, he dedicated his life to serving others. It wasn't about money or recognition. It was about doing something that mattered to him, something that made him feel alive. So how do you find your own why? Start by listening to yourself, by paying attention to the things that make your heart sing. It's not about finding a job or a role that fits a certain mold. It's about discovering what makes you come alive. It's about connecting with your inner self and understanding what you are truly passionate about. Sometimes finding your why means looking back at your life and identifying the moments that brought you the most joy or the greatest sense of accomplishment. It means thinking about the times when you felt most fulfilled, most at peace with yourself. What were you doing? Who were you with? What impact were you having on the world around you? These moments are clues pointing you toward your purpose. I remember another story about a woman who loved to write. She had always dreamed of becoming an author, but life got in the way. She ended up working in an office job that paid the bills, but left her feeling empty. One day, she decided to start writing again just for herself, just for the joy of it. And as she wrote, she realized that this was her true calling. Her words flowed onto the page, and she felt a sense of fulfillment she hadn't felt in years. That was her why. She wasn't doing it for fame or fortune. She was doing it because it made her feel alive. Finding your why is about more than just discovering your passion. It's about understanding what you're willing to fight for, what you're willing to stand up for, what you're willing to not back down from no matter what. It's about finding something that matters so much to you that you can't imagine doing anything else. But knowing your why isn't enough. Once you've discovered it, you have to act on it with courage and determination. You have to be willing to take risks, to step outside your comfort zone, to face challenges head on. Because living your purpose isn't always easy. It requires strength, resilience, and a willingness to keep going even when the going gets tough. So I want to challenge you today to start thinking about your own why. Start asking yourself those important questions. Start paying attention to what makes you feel alive. And when you find it, hold on to it. Nurture it. Let it guide you and give you strength. And most importantly, don't be afraid to act on it, to live a life that reflects your true purpose. Because when you know your why, you will find the strength to keep going no matter what. You will find the courage to not back down, to stand firm in the face of adversity, and to live a life that is truly meaningful and fulfilling. Let's talk about courage. Courage is a word we often hear, but what does it really mean? When we think of courage, we might imagine grand acts of heroism or brave individuals standing up against overwhelming odds. But courage isn't about never feeling afraid. It's not about being fearless. In fact, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting in spite of it. It's about feeling that fear, recognizing it, and deciding that something is more important than that. It's about choosing to move forward, even when every fiber of your being wants to hold back. Imagine that fear is a wall standing in your way. A wall that seems too high to climb, too thick to break through. Courage is what helps you take that first step towards the wall. And then another and another, even when you're not sure how you're going to get over it. Courage is not a giant leap. It's a series of small steps. It's the decision to keep moving forward, to keep trying, to keep believing, even when the outcome is uncertain. Think about this. Every great act of courage starts with a small step. It's the small steps that build up over time to create something powerful, something unstoppable. Just like a river that cuts through rock, it doesn't do so because of its power, but because of its persistence. It's the steady pressure of small actions that eventually breaks through. The river doesn't stop when it meets a rock. It doesn't give up. It keeps flowing, keeps pushing, keeps moving forward little by little until it carves a path through solid stone. And this is how courage works in our lives. It's not about waking up one day and suddenly feeling fearless. It's about making a choice every single day to take a small step towards your goals, towards your dreams, towards the life you want to live. It's about choosing to act, even when you're afraid, even when you're not sure what's going to happen. I want to ask what is one small step you can take today that would move you closer to not backing down from your challenge? What is one thing you can do right now, in this moment, to show yourself and the world that you have the courage to keep going? It doesn't have to be something big or dramatic. It could be as simple as making a phone call you've been putting off, speaking up in a meeting, taking a walk to clear your mind, or writing down your thoughts and plans. It could be anything that brings you one step closer to your goal, one step closer to overcoming your fear. These small steps may seem insignificant on their own, but when you add them up day after day, they create momentum. They build confidence. They show you that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. And before you know it, you've moved further than you thought possible. You've pushed through that wall of fear, not with a single leap, but with steady, determined steps. Let me share a story with you about a young man who learned the value of small steps and courage. He had always wanted to be a writer, but he was terrified of failure. The thought of putting his work out into the world and being rejected was paralyzing. He would start writing, but then doubt would creep in and he would stop. This cycle went on for years. But one day he decided that enough was enough. He realized that his fear of not trying was greater than his fear of failure. He made a commitment to himself. He would write 1 page a day, just 1 page. It didn't seem like much at first, but he kept at it. Day after day, page after page, he wrote. Some days the words flowed easily. Other days they didn't come at all. But he kept going. He took those small steps and eventually they added up. A few months later, he had a completed manuscript. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. And more importantly, he had proven to himself that he could do it, that he could push through his fear 1 page at a time. This young man didn't start with a masterpiece. He started with a single page. He didn't leap over his fear. He chipped away at it little by little until it no longer stood in his way. That's what courage looks like. It's not about being fearless. It's about being willing to take that first step and then the next and the next until you've reached your goal. So I want to encourage you to think about your own life. What small step can you take today that would move you closer to not backing down? What action can you take, no matter how small, that would bring you closer to your dreams? Remember, it's not about making a giant leap. It's about taking steady, consistent steps. It's about showing up for yourself every day, even when it's hard, even when it's scary. And as you take these steps, remember that you don't have to do it alone. Courage often involves seeking support from others, and there's no shame in that. In fact, asking for help, reaching out to others, and building a support system is one of the most courageous things you can do. It shows that you are willing to do whatever it takes to not back down, that you are committed to your growth, your success, and your happiness. We are not meant to face our challenges alone. We are meant to support each other, to lift each other up, and to help each other find the courage to keep going. So don't be afraid to lean on those around you, to ask for help when you need it, and to offer help when you can. Together we are stronger. Together we can achieve more than we ever could on our own. Let's remember that courage is not about being fearless. It's about taking action, 1 step at a time, even in the face of fear. It's about building momentum, finding strength and persistence, and not backing down when things get... And it's about knowing that we don't have to do it alone, that there are people around us who want to help, who want to support us, and who want to see us succeed. So let's take that next step together, with courage, with determination, and with the belief that we can overcome any challenge that comes our way. Now, let's talk about something truly powerful, the role of support and community in our lives. It's easy to think that we need to go through life alone, that we must handle all our challenges by ourselves, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Even the strongest among us need someone to lean on. We are all human, and part of being human is recognizing that we are not solitary creatures. We are social beings who thrive on connection, love, and support. Think about it. When you're facing a tough time, isn't it comforting to know that you have someone in your corner, cheering you on, reminding you that you are not alone? A support system can make all the difference. It can be the thing that helps you stand tall when you feel like crumbling. It can be the light that guides you when everything seems dark. And it can be the force that pushes you to keep going, to not back down, even when the odds seem stacked against you. When we have a growth mindset, we don't see challenges as threats. We see them as opportunities. We don't see failure as the end. We see it as a stepping stone to success. We don't see setbacks as reasons to give up. We see them as lessons that will help us grow and move forward. With a growth mindset, we are not afraid to take risks, to try new things, and to push ourselves beyond our limits because we know that every challenge, every failure, every setback is an opportunity for growth and learning. Let me share with you a story about someone who truly embraced this idea and transformed through their challenges. There was a woman named Sarah who had always dreamed of starting her own business. She had a vision, a passion, and a clear why driving her forward. But when she finally took the leap and started her business, things didn't go as planned. She faced setback after setback, and nothing seemed to work out. She lost money, faced criticism, and at times it felt like the universe was conspiring against her. Many people in her situation would have given up. They would have seen the challenges as signs that they were on the wrong path, but not Sarah. She saw every challenge as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become better. She refused to back down. She took each setback as a lesson, each failure as a stepping stone, and each criticism as feedback. She kept pushing forward, kept learning, and kept improving, and eventually her business started. But more importantly, Sarah grew as a person. She became stronger, more resilient, and more confident in herself and her abilities. She learned that she could handle anything life threw at her, and that challenges were not something to be feared, but something to... She learned that with the right mindset. She could turn any obstacle into an opportunity for growth. And because of this, she didn't just build a successful business. She built a successful life. So as we think about our own lives, let's remember that growth is a lifelong process. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that happens every day with every choice we make, with every challenge we face, and with every step we take. Each challenge prepares us for the next. Each setback makes us stronger. And each failure brings us one step closer to success. Now, as we move into the final part of our discussion today, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've talked about. We've explored the power of resilience, the importance of purpose, the necessity of courage, the value of support, and the opportunities for growth through challenges. Each of these elements plays a crucial role in helping us live a life where we never back down. You have within you all the strength you need. You are capable of more than you know. You have the power to overcome any obstacle, to rise above any challenge, and to create the life you want to live. You have the power to choose how you respond to life's challenges, to choose whether you will let them defeat you or whether you will use them as stepping stones to rise higher. I want to challenge you today to apply what you've learned. The next time you face a challenge, remember these words: I'd never back down. Don't let fear, doubt, or setbacks hold you back. Don't let challenges stop you from pursuing your dreams and living your purpose. Instead, see them as opportunities, as gifts, as chances to learn, grow, and become the best version of yourself. Remember, you are stronger than you think, braver than you believe, and more resilient than you ever imagined. In the face of adversity, when everything inside you says to quit, remember this: you have the power to overcome, to rise above, and to never back down. You have the power to choose your path, to create your destiny, and to live a life that reflects your true purpose and potential.